This is CNN, home of fake news.
He's not really being serious when he says it. It's a shame.
But a lot of people do take it seriously,
That's
and
the
it's,
problem.
and it's having an impact.
A lot of his supporters believe that we are the enemy of the American people, and that is really, really an awful situation. We are not the enemy of the American people. We love the American people. All right, guys, thanks.
Is there anything about the Russia investigation connected to the Trump campaign that troubles you?
Yeah, the reporting that's taking place and the exaggeration of venality and the suggestion, look, it's now 7 months since the election. And to this day, no one has cited a single piece of evidence. In your last session, you guys were patting yourselves on the back because you said Clapper had passed it off, the responsibility off to the FBI. There is nothing there.
So Jared Kushner meeting with a major Russian banker of a massive bank that has connections to Vladimir Putin, nothing to see there.
Well, tell me what you think is to see there, and I'll comment on it.
What do you think would be the motivation?
I don't think there's anything there. So
why would they do it?
You're implying,
why would they meet?
Because during the 10 weeks, everybody is trying to meet somebody who's going to be in the administration. Everybody who's involved in business, everybody who's involved in politics. I can't tell you how many people tried to meet with me between the time I was named
Did you meet with a
Chief of
Russian
Staff.
banker when everybody tried to meet with you?
No, but I had breakfast with the vice president at the Russian embassy, and a lot of folks there started talking to me.
And would you have carved out time to meet with a Russian banker with ties to Vladimir Putin if he asked?
I'm not even sure what would have happened if that had happened. First of all, Putin wasn't there. But look, you're asking hypotheticals on hypotheticals.
Well, I'm trying
There's
to actually
nothing,
take your temperature. I'm
you have
trying
nothing,
to gauge your comfort level with all of this.
My comfort level, the only discomfort I have,
You stupid bitch.
is with folks in the media trying to create a venality without having the courage to specifically tell me what the venality that I should be concerned about is.
Well,
I have not identified a venality. Have you?
Well, you should be concerned if there was collusion, and that's what
I don't see any evidence of collusion. Do you?
No. That's
okay.
what,
So that should end your reporting right there. You should put an exclamation point after you know.
Understood, but we're at the beginning of the investigation. So what?
You're
Congress,
7 months into the investigation.
Not exactly.
You're
Robert
7
Mueller
months.
has just taken over. Robert Mueller has
It's
just
a new
taken
investigation.
over.
That is correct.
Well, no. I mean, look, that's not exactly fair, Governor, because as you know, Congress people have been calling for a special counsel to do this, to handle this, because so it gets away from all of the partisan bickering. So it's just starting in that regard.
Can I ask a question? If Mueller comes out and says that my version is correct and yours isn't, how much crow are you going to eat?
The investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired with the Russian government in its election interference activities.
If Mueller comes out and says that my version is correct and yours isn't, how much crow are you going to eat?
I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong, and it's time for me to eat crow. Well, maybe there's another way I can make it up to you.
How much crow are you going to eat?
Governor, I don't have a version of events.
Of course you do. The whole half hour I listened to is a version.
Governor, we are asking questions of the sources of the people who know, attempting to see where the investigation is. The investigation isn't complete.
Without identifying a venality that should be investigated.
Governor, we appreciate your perspective that there's nothing to see here and that the investigation is, I don't know, silly?
Politically motivated by folks trying to rationalize a horribly run Democratic presidential campaign.
Governor John Sununu, thank you very much. Always great to get your perspective.
Nice to be here, Alisyn.
The investigation did not establish that members of the Trump campaign conspired with the Russian government in its election interference activities.
The president is certainly going to be vindicated by Mueller, so leave him alone. Don't put pressure on him to have to justify his existence by stretching things to find something wrong.
So when you say that it appears to you that the president will be, cleared of this cloud and fully vindicated, how do you make sense of what came out in the James Comey testimony, that the president asked his AG to leave the room, asked his son-in-law to leave the room, asked his chief of staff to leave the room so that he could say to the head of the FBI, I sure wish that you could back off this investigation.
No, he didn't say wish, he said hope.
Okay. I hope that you could back off this investigation of Michael Flynn.
No, he didn't say that. He said, I hope this Flynn thing will go away. Let me give you two important points on that. Well, the difference is that you have put a different spin on it. First of all, in asking folks to leave the room, presidents often grant cabinet members and folks who lead major departments the courtesy of having a one-on-one with the president. Comey's problem is what he himself described. He didn't have the backbone to take advantage of that one-on-one to tell the president what he should have told him, that the president should not be leaning in any direction on these issues. And if Comey felt uncomfortable, he had an obligation to tell the president in that one-on-one.
Okay, so just be clear on that.
Wait a minute. Let me get to the other part of the question, and then I'll give you a chance in a moment. Secondly, Comey going into that certainly had to know that the president hoped that the Flynn situation would go away.
There's 28 words there that are in quotes, and it says, quote, I hope, this is the president speaking, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go. Now, those are his exact words. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you wrote them here and you put them in quotes?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that. He did not direct you to let it go.
Not in his words, no.
He did not order you to let it go.
Again, those words are not an order.
No. He said, I hope. Now, like me, you probably did hundreds of cases, maybe thousands of cases. Do you know of any case where a person has been charged for obstruction of justice, or for that matter, any other criminal offense, where they said or thought they hoped for an outcome?
I don't know well enough to answer. And the reason I keep saying his words is I took it as a direction.
Right.
I mean, this is the President of the United States with me alone saying, I hope this. I took it as this is what he wants me to do. Now, I didn't obey that, but that's the way I took it.
You may have taken it as a direction, but that's not what he said.
Correct. That's why
he said, I hope.
Those are exact words, okay. Correct.
You don't know of anyone that's ever been charged for hoping something. Is that a fair statement?
I don't, as I sit here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And therefore, why is there any pressure or obstruction if the president merely repeats in an aspirational way what Comey already knew going in? This idea that somehow that sentence implies pressure is ridiculous. The only pressure that could have been implied there is because Comey didn't have the backbone, if he felt there was pressure, to tell the president that that's not right.
So the way you see it, it is incumbent on the FBI director to tell the president of the United States that is out of bounds, you are being inappropriate, not on the president of the United States to stop himself from asking something inappropriate of the FBI director.
He didn't ask. You see, that's the problem. You keep spinning it to an ask instead of an expression of an aspirational expression. Trump's lawyer was absolutely correct.
The president never, in form or substance, directed or suggested that Mr. Comey stop investigating anyone, including the president never suggested that Mr. Comey, quote, let Flynn go, close quote.
Senator Riss was absolutely correct, from Idaho, was absolutely correct in questioning Comey.
The President of the United States tells you, and you're working for the president, I hope you can let this go. Shouldn't that individual see that as an order or a direction?
Well, first of all, words are important. We go to law school for a lot of years. We study words. We write them. Jim Comey is a wordsmith of high caliber. He delivered those 7 pages to us yesterday, And the heart of what he's talking about is on page 5, paragraph 3, and it's 28 words. Now, he put those in quotes. And I asked him specifically about those, and he said, yes, that's exactly what the president said. And he wrote those down contemporaneous with
and the point is that every time you try to talk about it, you try to make, I hope that this Flynn thing will go away, pressure point. It is not a pressure point. But if Comey took it as a pressure point, even incorrectly took it as a pressure point, he should have said something in the private conversation that the president had the courtesy to give him.
James Comey saw that as a directive.
And the president saw that as an expression of a hope. And that's the difference here. And that's the problem when people try to overparse, adjust semantics to reflect their bias, and try and create a case where there isn't one. If that sentence is supposedly all that James Comey has to stand on, this thing will go away quickly.
So you're comfortable with the president, say George H.W. Bush, saying that to an FBI director, if you were the chief of staff, saying, I sure hope that you can back off an investigation. That's okay. That's within bounds to you.
Yes. No, he didn't say, I hope you can let this thing go.
What is that? What's the difference between back off an investigation and let this thing go?
The difference is that one is implying that when you say investigation, that there is going to be a result that's negative. When you say let this thing go, the president is not acknowledging at that point that there's anything negative involved.
But he knows that there's an investigation.
Let's not spend the whole morning parsing a sentence, Alisyn. I've told you what I think. You've told me what you think.
Well, actually, I've just asked you questions. I'm not sharing what I think. I'm asking you questions, but I am interested in what you think. Do you think it's appropriate for a president to demand loyalty from the head of the FBI?
The president also never told Mr. Comey, quote, I need loyalty. I expect loyalty, close quote. He never said it in form, and he never said it in substance.
When presidents interview people for a cabinet position, they always, there's one way or the other, there's an expression that the president certainly wants the cabinet official to follow the agenda that the president has in mind. When a president says, I want loyalty, that's what I understand, that he wants me to follow a presidential agenda on policy and issues, enforcement of laws, and moving things forward. I don't see anything wrong with that sentence.
Okay. Now, here's the question. You're big, you're strong. I know the Oval Office, and I know what happens to people when they walk in. There is a certain amount of intimidation. But why didn't you stop and say, Mr. President, this is wrong. I cannot discuss this with you?
It's a great question. Maybe if I were stronger, I would have. I was so stunned by the conversation. Maybe other people would be stronger in that circumstance, but that's how I conducted myself. I hope I'll never have another opportunity. Maybe if I did it again, I would do it better.